Hello, I'm the future, and I'm here to tell the story of a design and make movement that's revolutionizing the way the world gets made. As we speak, industry leaders are upskilling their workforce, accelerating progress with AI, and embracing sustainability. With the Autodesk Design and Make platform, problem solvers like you are creating the future I always hoped to become. With your help, we're going to make it, because together, we can make anything.
Right. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you here today to the 2024 State of Design and Make report feedback. My name is Richard, and I just wanted to check. Firstly, I put my video on so that you can all see that this is not a recording, it is live, but I'm not going to be keeping my video on for the duration of the presentation because you didn't come here today to look at my pretty face, you came here today to hear about some interesting insights. So, let's get started. The 2024 State of Design and Make report is a report that is primarily commissioned by Autodesk, and it's insights from industry leaders on how digital transformation is driving business resilience, sustainability, and talent management. From an agenda perspective, so that everyone knows, we're doing introductions now. We're going to move into the State of Design and Make report for about 25-30 minutes. Then I'm going to hand over to my colleague, who I'll introduce shortly, who will be covering the Autodesk Solution Advisor tool. And then there's going to be a short call to action, and then you get to carry on with your day. So firstly, who am I? My name is Richard. I'm the CEO of Baker Baynes. I have built Baker Baynes to solve customers' problems, and I'm really privileged to lead a team of industry professionals as we help to try and understand our customers' problems. Specifically, we focus on Autodesk and supporting brands such as Pinnacle, Leica, OpenSpace, and a variety of others. And I think one of the things that I'm most passionate about is the fact that not a lot of organizations necessarily link the role that technology has to play with the high-level bottom line. And people and processes can only take the business so far, and technology is only an enabler, but we work to bring it all together to make sure that it works. I have been doing this for more years than I care to remember, and you can see a variety of experience that I've got over the years. But Baker Baynes is now an award-winning Autodesk Gold Solutions partner, servicing clients globally from South Africa. And this year, we're very proud to announce that we were recognized as the EMEA Emerging Partner of the Year at Autodesk's Channel Awards. It's also important to note that in today's webinar, you're going to hear a lot about my opinion. And for those of you who haven't met me in person or don't know me that well, you'll know that I am a man of opinion, but I need to make sure everyone understands that my opinion is simply my opinion, and it's not representative of my clients nor of our vendors. It's simply my opinion. I'd also like to welcome my friend and colleague Geraldine Clark, who is the Major Accounts Manager for Autodesk in South Africa. Geraldine has over 20 years of experience in the AEC industry, specializing in solution sales. She specifically works with the larger accounts, collaborating with these clients to identify and implement the correct technology and address their project and business needs, helping them remain competitive and productive in the dynamic market. Geraldine has built strong relationships with her clients over the years and is definitely seen as a trusted partner, and we're really thrilled to have her join us today. So G, if you wouldn't mind, pop your video on so everyone can say hello and see what you look like quickly. There we go.
Hi, thanks for the introduction. Thanks, Richard. Morning, everyone.
Thanks, Geraldine. So with that said, let's get into the meat of the report. Now, this is the second year that Autodesk are running this report, and it's specifically focusing on the State of Design and Make. It's a global annual study for leaders who design and make places, objects, and experiences. And I suppose if you stop there for a minute and think about how unique Autodesk is as a company, it's one of the only companies in the world that is involved in everything that is made in the world. from a building to a game to a motor car. You know, how we experience the world, someone has to make it, or someone has to design it, and then someone has to make it. And what's so interesting about Autodesk's strategic direction at the moment is that they are pioneering this category of design and make, because effectively it's more than just building construction, and it's more than motor vehicle manufacturing or game creation. It's the common denominator that ties all these industries together. Specifically, this report is going to be about identifying pressing issues that shape today's businesses and help our leaders make informed strategic decisions about how best to prioritize and invest in the future. So this report looked at 5,399 industry leaders, futurists, and experts. Don't ask me what happened to 5,400. That person obviously dropped off. It's like the one dentist who didn't recommend Oral-B, but you can see that it's a large sample size. The quantitative data was collected from July to September last year through an online survey, but then Autodesk also partnered with an external service provider to add to this data and added 31 qualitative interviews with business leaders and futurists. So it's quite a broad sample size. The methodology that was used is important to understand, because I think what it does is it gives context and credibility to a report of this nature. 70% of the survey participants identify themselves as decision makers in their companies. 11 years is the average experience of respondents in their industry, and 80% of respondents said that they use Autodesk products. It's interesting and important to note the fact that there's 20% who don't use Autodesk products, because that's not simply asking the choir about how well we are as singers. This is asking, you know, the whole congregation. And I think it's important that we remember that the type of information that we're going to get back is then a little bit more balanced. From an industry perspective, you can see they looked at roughly 2,000 architecture, engineering, construction organizations, about 1,700 design and manufacturing organizations, with the balance in media and entertainment. The different industries that are represented, you can see, are listed below. And from a regional perspective, the highest amount came from Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Well, EMEA as it's recognized. Unfortunately, very little formal representation from South Africa. We do have several insights, though, that we're going to share with you from a South African perspective over the course of the presentation. I want to do a little bit of user engagement here and run a poll, specifically on about understanding which are the 3 most important strategic issues to you. Is it business resilience? Is it talent, or is it sustainability? And Amanda, if you can, well, there we go. So if you wouldn't mind, just answer, is it about business resilience, talent, or sustainability? While we're waiting for that poll to be completed, I can tell you that these 3 categories are the main themes of this year's report. So we're still collecting responses. The responses are kind of all over the place. Okay, we've got, gosh, it's really voting season, eh? South Africa's voted in the last month. The UK are voting at the moment. We've got 70% having voted in this poll. We've got the US elections later this year. We've closed the poll. Interestingly enough, business resilience for this group of people is 36% ranking. Talent is 24% ranking. And sustainability is a 40% ranking. Thank you for that, Amanda, and thank you for all of those who participated. That's really, really interesting. So as I have said to you, we're going to be drawing on certain insights from a South African perspective, because you know what a lot of our customers don't necessarily see is the collective input from our customer base. And there's only so much that we can share. But why I had done a disclaimer about my opinion is because I'm sharing my opinion about what some of our customers have experienced. So business resilience and talent and sustainability were the key themes of the 2024 report. For the purposes of today's presentation, the two that struck me as really, really critical from a South African perspective were business resilience and talent. It is interesting that sustainability emerged as the most important business issue facing this particular audience. And I think what you'll find is a wealth of information in the report when you get a copy of it from a handout perspective. But from a South African perspective, I wanted to focus on these two because they're certainly the two that I have faced most recently in the last year or so. Interestingly enough, from a business resilience perspective, there seems to be a positive outlook that has emerged and a better understanding and a higher value being placed on digital tools. 73% of companies say that they are more prepared to handle unforeseen change, which I suppose isn't surprising given the fact that all of us have survived COVID and it's in our past, and that was probably the most unforeseen change that we've faced in the last 5 years. Digital transformation has improved productivity, said 62% of the respondents, which was up from the previous year. Concerns about skilled access to talent has reduced from 2023 to 2024 from a respondent's perspective. And lastly, on this particular takeaway from a slide perspective, 56% of companies are approaching or have already achieved their goal of incorporating AI. Now, AI are two very important letters, very powerful letters that I think can have a very subjective meaning. We'll touch on AI a little bit later in the presentation. The first key insight from this report that Autodesk have commissioned is that optimism is returning. I think to echo that from a South African perspective, I have definitely found optimism to be returning from a local perspective. The exchange rate broke through the 18 Rand mark, ran to the dollar a couple of weeks ago. And obviously we've got the government of national unity now. It's the first time in our young democracy that we've experienced this. I haven't put all the political parties' logos there, but I think what's important to note is that times definitely have changed from a South African perspective. And there seems to be a renewed confidence from a business perspective in the country. And I think that, you know, this for me is important because confidence and optimism can drive a lot of strategic business initiatives. So this for me felt in line with what the Autodesk report was reporting. Important to note here that companies are more prepared than reported in 2023 to face an uncertain future. 30% is the drop in the number of leaders and experts who say the global landscape feels more uncertain now than 30 years ago, than 3 years ago. Performance is improving, and again, looking across the different regions, the percentage of businesses that have outperformed corporate expectations has definitely increased. Now, here I want to just underline the concept of corporate expectations because these, you know, expectations are also subjective. So take away from this what you will, but I'm drawing particularly attention to the EMEA region, where 75% of organizations in most recent times seem to be outperforming their corporate expectations, which is up dramatically from the year before that and the year before that. And that's positive. So performance is improving, optimism has returned. That's all good things for business resilience. This slide for me spoke volumes because resilience measures are tied to business confidence. And in terms of all the respondents surveyed, you can see top left is more prepared, bottom right is more resilient. So imagine this as a quadrant. The less prepared and less resilient is Japan, which caught me a little bit by surprise. I thought that's a very interesting kind of country to be placed in that category. I understand Italy, based on the economic challenges that they've faced. More specifically, though, I want to draw attention to our BRICS counterparts often South Africa is profiled with Brazil and India and China. Mexico and Turkey, maybe not specifically part of the BRICS, grouping, but very interesting countries to be seen as to be more resilient. Actually, specifically Turkey, which I think is really quite fascinating. I believe that if South Africa were to be profiled, we would also be in the top right. There's a reason why South African organizations are resilient, because we just seem to, the Afrikaans saying, kyk noord en, what the rest means. I think that we'd be well profiled there. So I thought that was an interesting metric to look at. This is our first quote from one of my colleagues, Richard Matchett, who is the digital lead at Zutari. And he is quoted as having said, coming out of COVID, people are a lot more optimistic. And we've had a year to figure out which way is up. And I definitely concur with what it is that he's saying. From an insights perspective, insight number 2 was that cost control has risen above talent as the top challenge for businesses. And whilst talent remains a critical factor in company success, it's no longer the top challenge that many businesses are facing. And I can absolutely understand this. Everybody is trying to do more with less. And if you look specifically at the industry rankings, the AEC industry and the design and manufacturing industry, both of them have cited cost control and cost management as the most critical factor. I think from a South African perspective, cost control, talent, and data automation or technological advancement / digitization are certainly the 3 that we come across most regularly. There are factors that affect all of our organizations, and you'll see a lot of these critical factors actually have a role to play with each other. And I think that that's really quite interesting. Specifically looking at the AECO industry, so architecture, engineering, construction, and owner-operators, these are specific insights where organizations were asked what are the top priorities for investment, and how do you think it'll shift over the next 3 years? Very interestingly enough, the overall investment looked like technology number 1, improved operations number 2, and point number 3 being environmental sustainability. And again, bouncing through the different sub-industries of the AECO primary market segment, you can see the different things that people are worried about. So mining, oil and gas are worried about remote work, technology and acquisitions, whereas the civil infrastructure industry are worried about environmental sustainability, data management and analytics, and improved collaboration. So I suppose, if you're in this industry, you can be asking yourself, well, how are we faring? What are the top priorities that we have, and are they aligned? Again, from a design and manufacturing perspective, overall investment organizations are thinking about new products and services, AI and emerging technologies, and then in general, technology. But I think specifically if you were to look at life sciences manufacturing, they're interested in data management and analytics. But overall, new products and services means that those organizations that manufacture things are looking for ways to become more innovative because they want to bring new products or services to market. That brings me to one of our local success stories, which is a company called Struckmac. They are definitely leading digital transformation in the D&M sector. Struckmac is based on the East Rand, and in 1996 they started with a 100 square meter facility and only 5 employees, and now have an organization that has a state-of-the-art nearly 15,000 square meter manufacturing workshop and nearly 200 or 200 plus employees. And I think for me, it's the quote that David Emmett made, which really hit home, which was, he spoke about, we make use of the most modern and up-to-date digitized production systems, professional planners, machinists, and artisans, and a quality system developed over 25 years to ensure excellent service, quality, and quick project turnaround. So, here what I'm looking to give you as a takeaway is that digital transformation, innovation, those sorts of things are global initiatives or global factors as per the report, but there are organizations locally that are also getting it right. Which takes me to insight number 3, which is that digitally mature companies see greater business success. And we're very involved in digital transformation with our client base. Digital transformation, much like AI, are 2 words that have a lot of subjective meaning and can mean an enormous amount of things. These are the top advantages of digital transformation, ranking from 1 through to 6. And what I really wanted to just highlight here was I have found in my experience, and I think Geraldine would echo the same, is that productivity, profitability, and collaboration at the moment seem to be the things that we're talking to most of our customers about. These challenges of making people more productive and adding more profit to the bottom line, but how do you do that? Well, in many instances, you're needing to either do that through customer satisfaction or collaboration and better ideas, resulting in a more sustainable organization, are the sorts of things that in my opinion, South African organizations are grappling with. But here was another very powerful slide, which was the pros and cons of digital transformation, but this is specific only to the EMEA region. And this, wow, I wish that we had all of our clients on today's webinar, because we know the advantages of digital transformation is ranked as improved productivity, improved customer satisfaction, and improved profitability. But more so, we know the barriers are cost, time, and lack of knowledge or technical skills. Now, those 3 barriers present a complete strategic conundrum, because it's almost like most of our clients are in the situation where they know they need to do these things. They know they need to become more digitized and take steps towards digital transformation, but either don't have the money or don't have the time, and potentially or lack the knowledge and technical skills to start taking the first step. An important thing to remember about digital transformation is that it's not like a home makeover where you start at one point, you finish at one point, and wow, everything is transformed. It's a journey, and every organization starts their digital transformation journey at a different place. And everyone takes different steps. But if digital transformation is on your agenda and you're consulting about it and you're thinking about it, you're going to eventually make progress. This, I thought, was an important reference to keep in. So this is from a gentleman called Michat. I'm not sure that I pronounced his name right. He's the Deputy Director for BIM and GIS at the Central Communication Port in Poland. And he's quoted as having said, "We are very focused on digital documentation and information gathering. Whether we're collaborating with contractors or designing a project, it's all fully digital. Our suppliers do not send us lists in Excel or emails with attachments. Of course, as much as possible, everything is done through our software, and there is one source of truth." Now, some of you might remember quite recently we hosted an event in conjunction with FIFA at the Killarney Country Club, the Gauteng Institute for Architects, and Yanni Viljoen, who's our esteemed professional services director, spoke about, in her presentation, spoke about the difference between a commonly used data environment and a common data environment. And the one source of truth is the common data environment. And that seems to be a critical sticking point with regards to achieving digital transformation. So digital transformation, lucky for all of us, I think, is now being recognized as a global priority. And if I focus specifically in the EMEA space, 59% of organizations said they are approaching their goal of digital transformation. I'm less interested in the 9 that have achieved their goal. But I suppose for me, the takeaway here is, if as an organization you aren't thinking about digital transformation, you're absolutely being left behind, because this is a global priority. And it doesn't matter if you're part of the 6% who are at the early stage from an EMEA perspective, you've still defined where you want to go and you're still making progress towards it. This is a big takeaway. Digital maturity versus process maturity basically means more digitally mature companies are also more process mature. And that is true for both organizations in the AEC industry and the D&M industry. And I thought that it was a really, really powerful thing to just consider, because over the years, we see organizations investing in technology. The same amount of attention is not given to processes, nor people actually, and we'll come to that in the talent aspect. And those three things together are like the trifecta, and they have to absolutely all be considered. And it's such a wonderful correlation that this report makes, that more digitally mature the organization, they also tend to be more process mature. This also brings me to a lovely success story about one of our clients. It's actually two related organizations called Datascape and Crux Architects, and they use shared resources, and they've definitely emerged throughout the chaos of being trailblazers on the continent, specifically from a data center design and from a human-centric design perspective, because what they've been able to do in terms of introducing a common data environment has changed how they do business. And it's these kinds of, I suppose, anecdotal pieces of information that all of you should be able to take away as a sense of comfort that a common data environment does make a difference, because here is a local organization who are doing that. Insight number 4 is that companies are making meaningful progress in their AI adoption journeys. Most organizations are approaching or have achieved their AI goals, and they say the finish line is in sight for many. I am probably slightly skeptical with regards to that, but I do want to draw attention to the following. 78% of the respondents said that AI will enhance their industry, which absolutely makes a lot of sense. And AI adoption is varying globally. And again, if I draw attention to the countries that we are most profiled with, this is a bit of a tricky graph to read, because technically you almost have to read it upside down in terms of countries who've approached or achieved their goal. Middle East, Turkey, Brazil, Mexico, India, all of them have got AI adoption goals. So I suppose, for you, the question you can take away is, do you have an AI adoption goal? The use of AI does extend beyond productivity, and this slide I wanted to highlight specifically, because here you can see, for example, building owners are looking to AI to automate the mundane and repeatable tasks. Same in mining, oil and gas, utilities and telecoms. Mining, oil and gas are also looking to AI to deliver billing analysis. And I suppose, AI has been around for a long time. So whatever your interpretation of it is and how you're potentially making use of it, it's important to know that there's more to it than potentially what meets the eye. It's quite a daunting thing to think about, but there's a lot of different benefits. Again, looking here in the design and manufacturing industry, automation of tasks, where AI is ubiquitous and will be adopted in all areas. Industrial machinery are looking in that sort of space. So a lot of interesting things about AI. Maybe you're not ready to start a full AI journey, but it's been around for a long time in terms of Autodesk's generative design and those sorts of things. So maybe it's just about defining what is next for your company. Here's a nice quote from Demir Jaksik, who's from Kia International Consultants, where he talks about how AI can automate many tasks and free up creative people to focus on what they do best. Secondly, Jean-Francois, I won't pronounce his surname. This was an interesting one, how in their space, AI is going to allow robots to be able to adapt dynamically for their missions. For example, a robot could be taking pictures inside a water pipe. It might detect a crack. If that crack is a certain shape and a certain length, the robot would stop and take a closer look. This is one way AI can proactively help with pipe maintenance while gathering more accurate data. I'm sure all of us would put our hands up and say we would love to have that in South Africa, because we know we've got water challenges. And you know, from a maintenance perspective, that's transformational. Moving on to talent, from bridging the talent gap. Although cost control has been dethroned as the top business challenge, attracting and retaining skilled employees is still definitely top of mind for most organizations. But 40% of companies said that they are unsure how to implement it in terms of upskilling and training, and 71% consider digital maturity to be a top attractor of talent. There's that correlation again, back to digital maturity, process maturity, those kinds of concepts. Insight number 5 is that upskilling is essential, but out of reach for many. And that only 38% of respondents say they have the necessary skills and resources to design internal training programs. This is not a surprise to us. In fact, to me personally, I would actually go so far as to say, I think from a South African perspective, 38, if we were surveyed as a country, this 38% would be less. Because in our experience, we have a lot of people talking about technology, not a lot of people talking about training and upskilling. What we have found, though, is with the introduction of a product like Pinnacle Series, which is a Autodesk authorized developer from a content perspective and is connected to hero products like AutoCAD and Revit and so on and so forth, that helps with this challenge. Interestingly enough, this is echoed in the comment from Richard Matchett from Zutari, who says that Zutari have opted for self-driven training over classroom training. We've got a very robust training system and structured online courses, and we've got an open availability of this training to our team. Interestingly enough, Zutari make use of Pinnacle. And I think what's interesting about this is the self-paced or self-driven training isn't necessarily the answer for everybody. Blended learning is a way in which you can look at the right way to train and upskill your staff. More importantly, I think it's to consider that all of us learn in different ways, and the workforce age is changing, and therefore how we deliver the learning content from an incredibly complex set of products needs to be different. So I really enjoyed this particular case study. If anyone's interested, you can go and have a look for it on LinkedIn specifically. Furthermore, the upskilling gap is spread across the globe in terms of what people think is important in terms of upskilling versus my company's lacking the right resources. I'm going out on a limb here to say too few companies in South Africa invest in training and skills development to support their digital transformation journeys, whether it is classroom training, self-driven training. I feel like it seems to be the last thing on everyone's mind. The new piece of technology is important. Maybe the process is important, maybe not. The upskilling is definitely lacking. So from my side, I think there needs to be a call to action to the South African marketplace to pay attention to this. This does, however, take me to my next exciting success story about TW Profile, who felt that their best way of going about securing their digital transformation journey was to invest in an in-house training center. And Sean, who's the operations director, specifically is quoted as having said, "We believe that training youngsters doesn't only benefit our organization, but it uplifts the industry as theory meets practical application within our training center." Now, this was the right decision for TW Profile. Might not be the right decision for your organization, but some form of upskilling definitely does need to take place. There's a variety of new digital skills that have emerged that are in demand. And the top 3 skills of the future, I've sort of broken down by industry here: ACO, design and manufacturing, We don't really do anything in media and entertainment, so I'm not going to refer to media and entertainment, but I think it's important for me. One of the takeaways here was digital project management has increased, and it's really important in both industries. And these digital design skills have grown, the requirement has grown, but more importantly, the ability to work with and implement AI has grown. Here, I just wanted to highlight for some of you, in case you don't know, those are the aspects that Baker Baynes is actually able to help you with, should you resonate with this report and think that, you know, some of these skills of the future make sense and you want to embark on figuring out how to solve these challenges. Insight number 6 is that companies are taking a multi-pronged approach to solving the talent problem. So that's a long sentence which is broken down in a bunch of different ways, but this particular survey question was about what is your organization doing to meet the talent challenge? There's a lot of interesting respondents or pieces to take away here. I suppose loosely, as a business owner and CEO, I found it interesting that salary, benefits, and perks is only 7% of the respondents referenced that, and that 11% of the respondents globally referenced that my company is not handling this challenge at all. I suppose the flip side is that 25% spoke about expanded talent acquisition and recruitment, and upskilling and development for existing employees. So this challenge of accessing skilled talent, it's a global challenge. Everyone's trying to solve it. Maybe there's some new ideas here in terms of how you can try and solve it for your organization. Challenge 2 was with regards to a rapidly aging workforce. And, you know, South Africa's skills gap is growing. And you can't deny, given the amount of how much immigration and moving around the globe is still definitely happening. Interestingly enough, here, 29% are looking at talent acquisition and recruitment. 20% saying my company is not handling this challenge at all, which is really just like sticking your head in the sand and being an ostrich. And only 17% are training and upskilling development for existing employees. It's interesting to see that 4% spoke about remote work and flexibility. So there is a rapidly aging workforce, but companies are still needing to solve this problem. Third and lastly, with regards to solving the talent problem, is that higher rates of attrition have occurred over the last 3 years. And figuring out how to keep someone at an organization longer is definitely more of a challenge. And you can see here organizations are looking even to workplace wellness and mental health, company culture and values, feedback, performance reviews, exit interviews, a lot of different aspects that organizations are looking at to try and solve this talent problem. This was an interesting quote from Lizette Hauer, who's the Director of Business Transformation at Royal Haskell & DHV, where she spoke about how younger generations have a much higher staff turnover. That in itself is a challenge and a change management challenge. And we need to have faster onboarding and better knowledge management so that when someone leaves, disruption is not as severe. Lastly, sustainability, definitely important from a global perspective. Business value is driving sustainability actions. 97% of companies have taken actions to improve sustainability. And that is definitely something that we can even see in terms of today's Snap poll. Sustainability is an important thing to look at. How AI can help with sustainability seems to have jumped to the top. I wanted to reference here that from a South African perspective, the increased share of renewable energy sources and investment in energy efficient processes or machinery is quite logical and makes a lot of sense from a South African perspective. But for me, the call to action here is to look, how can we make use of AI from a local perspective to help us achieve our sustainability goals? And for me, 97% of organizations are taking steps to improve sustainability. That's a big takeaway. These are the top insights in terms of business resilience. So it's your sort of main highlight takeaway slide. Optimism is returning. Cost control is critical and is now above management of talent. Digitally mature companies are reporting greater success. Companies are already making meaningful progress in their AI journeys. From a talent perspective, upskilling is essential but out of reach for many, and companies are taking a prolonged approach, a multi-pronged approach rather, to solving the talent problem. And sustainability is now a key priority, delivering both short and long-term business health. So from a conclusion perspective, business leaders feel more confident in their organization's ability to navigate change, which leads naturally to bolder exploration of new technologies. Talent, there's continued work that needs to happen in the talent space, with some organizations investing heavily in training and upskilling. And to attract and retain talent, employers should focus on increasing their digital maturity and sustainability programs. And then from a sustainability perspective, a seismic shift has happened, driven by pressure from both public and private sectors. And in order to meet these new demands, organizations are increasingly turning to AI. I'm a little bit under time pressure, so I've gone a little bit fast now in the last couple of slides, but I think ultimately there's a wealth of information with regards to this report. We have made sure that if you look in the handout of this particular webinar, you can see that we have included the full report for you. It is a great 85 roughly pages of nighttime reading. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Geraldine, who's going to take us through a really, really exciting tool that Autodesk also have.
Thanks, Richard. Good morning again, everyone. So do you need help assessing your team's strengths, helping your company with change, or building a plan to roll out new solutions to your team? I would then like to introduce you to a customer-facing online collaboration tool designed for Autodesk and our authorized Autodesk partners to work with our customers to understand their outcomes and develop co-created success plans to help them maximize the value of their Autodesk software. And we do this by leveraging the Autodesk Solution Advisor tool. The Solution Advisor is a web-based collaboration tool, and it's designed to help managers and business leaders identify areas of focus for their teams, determine goals, and develop a success plan. You can edit a plan and add personalized information in this. So this is just an overview of what the advisor looks like. Firstly, when you get into the tool, we need to understand the challenge that brings you to the Solution Advisor. Whether you'd like to assess your team's strengths, you would need help in steps with change within your company, you need help to create a vision and plan for success to share internally, or to help deploy and manage your Autodesk products in your organization. So what you would do in this tool is then, as an example here, you can see you would select the industry. So from construction services, various industries would obviously include architecture, building engineering, civil and infrastructure, auto and transport, as well as manufacturing. You would then select 1 to 2 areas you would like to focus on. So in this example, you can see the areas around cost, health and safety, and sustainability. Of those areas, you would need to understand what are the most important goals. So you would get a list, you would then prioritize those goals from the most important to the least important. You would then identify and choose the success metrics you would need to achieve those outcomes. It would take you through the capabilities you would need to improve, and from there you would generate your plan. So this web-based tool is an excellent resource for businesses to utilize for insights, meaningful data interpretation, and really by streamlining the planning and implementation process, it empowers the process, it empowers teams to focus on their core tasks and uplift their performance. So what you will find, the tool includes a capability maturity assessment. So to measure your team's proficiency with their Autodesk technology. So an example on the left-hand side, we have a maturity assessment model for facilities management, which will just help gauge your team's workflow efficiency and industry standards. And then on the right-hand side, we can highlight the benefits. And this example is of computational and generative design in buildings. There is a number of learning content available, so successfully you can increase your maturity through specific courses that are available. You can also equip your team with learning content they need to successfully perhaps adopt new workflows or explore on-demand courses for project-based learning. And this is designed to help upskill your teams in just 15 minutes a day. The Solution Advisor also provides the minimum steps to helping our customers make the change. So it's been tried and tested externally with our customers and internally with various roles to identify its accuracy and benefit as a solution to improve customers' outcomes. So in addition, our partners and success teams are able to add links, so from perhaps critical discovery they've done with customers, workflows, and add the solutions into the advisor tool. And the information in the slide represents examples of the resources the customers use to accomplish their goals. So either it's success stories, there's project plan templates, there's stakeholder maps, as well as communication templates. So once the plan is created, that's when the action kicks in for the customer. So at the bottom, the 6 bars guide the customer through the change. So they are how to prepare your team for the change, how to brief your team, how to hold off kickoff meetings, the upskilling of the team, how to track that progress, and again, to reinforce the change. So to keep reviewing and reassessing your plan. And all of these resources in the plan are here to help the process. They're here to guide the customers and not leave the customer's success to chance. So very briefly, I'd like to just recap. So anyone with an Autodesk account, you can log in and create an unlimited number of free success plans. It's a guided experience that turns ambitious business goals into operational steps. It's an automated success plan, so including change management steps, accelerators based on the selection and maturity, and project management resources. It's a great opportunity to identify how we can help you achieve your desired outcomes, how to maximize the value of your Autodesk technology, and lastly, it's a tangible action plan to guide rolling out new solutions. So I do encourage you to click on the link, I think it's going to be shared, and start building those plans and reaching out to your partners, to Baker Baynes, how we can help you with these plans. Thank you.
Thanks, Geraldine. So we're almost out of time. So I just wanted to wrap things up for everyone. Firstly, I wanted to make everyone aware of the fact that Baker Baynes is running an incredible initiative about extraordinary women in BIM. It's our 2nd year running this competition. It is, however, our 1st year where we are sponsoring the winner to attend the Autodesk University in San Diego, valued at 100,000 Rand. And what we're looking for here is we're looking for innovators and champions of significant BIM projects who are women, because we really want to see a diverse working environment. So please take note. If you know of someone that you'd like to nominate, you can just either use that QR code or go to Baker Baynes, that link below. So that's our Baker Baynes Extraordinary Women in BIM campaign. Further to that, from a design and manufacturing perspective, we are also running a competition for everyone who is interested in using Autodesk Fusion. This is where we're needing everyone to design a portable power station, showing your mastery in designing a cutting-edge portable power station with a chance to win some fantastic prizes. Submissions close on the 22nd of July, and more information again on that QR code or on the link bakerbaynes.com fusion-design-competition. And then lastly, we're inviting everyone, if you found today's session useful and you're curious about digital transformation and a common data environment as opposed to a commonly used data environment, We invite you to a live event that we're hosting at the Radisson Red Hotel in Rosebank, Johannesburg, around collaborative and empowered project ecosystems, making use of digital strategies. So you would need to register for this event. Please do not simply arrive. We need to make sure that we have enough seats and food and all those fantastic things that go with hosting an event of this nature. Almost lastly, we'd like to invite everyone to consider registering to attend Autodesk University in San Diego. If San Diego is out of reach, there is an incredible amount of digital content that's available for you on the Autodesk University platform. So you can attend all the classes digitally and learn an enormous amount of things that maybe you haven't heard of before. The Autodesk University is basically a collection of about the best part of 10,000 people in person and many, many, many more digitally who attend the AU conference. So have a look at AU and think about attending. Lastly, today was about the state of design and make, and you all have access to the handout that is in the chat box or in the handout box. And lastly, I just want to thank all of you for your time. We have about 5 minutes left, so if any of you have questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to pop them in the chat box. Oh, Richard Matchett has said the nomination form didn't work. Amanda, can I ask you to please pop the link to the Women in BIM and Fusion
Will do.
competition in the chat box? Thanks. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Heinrich. I'm glad that you found it very interesting. So I'm going to give you all about 30 more seconds. In the meantime, oh, there's something. So Amanda, thanks so much. Amanda has popped Extraordinary Women in BIM, along with the Solution Advisor tool. I must tell you that Solution Advisor tool that Geraldine presented is incredible. We've used it with a couple of our customers and they're really getting an enormous amount of value out of it. So please make use of that tool. Thank you so much for attending our webinar. We really, really appreciate it. If you found this content useful, please be sure to let us know.